amongst a bunch of, the other degenerates around him. And they were just going to be sort of, saying something off the cuff to make that poor contestant feel a little small. He knew the words he was picking were copied from somebody else. He knew he had watched those clips. Yeah. He came prepared with his lines. He was putting on a show. At whose expense? That's the fundamental question, Mr. Sabir. At whose expense?
Yeah, Rahul, the point is that Ranveer Allahbadia was known for some very intelligent blogs, and they were very
name me one.
Heavyweights who've come on to his
which
show.
one? Which blogs?
No, a lot. I've been following him.
Tell me.
Yeah,
Which blog?
He does a video vlog.
Yeah, which blog?
He does a
I'll tell you something. Viewers, I'll tell you something. I went to Mr.
Let me
Allahbadia.
finish.
Mr. Sabir, 1 second. Let me tell you. I'll tell you now. I went to I got a call from him. So I went there. And I sat opposite him. And I was appalled, viewers. I was appalled at the questions that were being asked. I had gone there because there was an understanding that he would talk about my book and I needed a platform. I'm being very honest here, viewers. I went. After that, I got so disenchanted. I sent a message or two and I said, look, are you putting this out? When are you putting this out? And then I got a couple of vague responses. We're going to do it, after 2 weeks, etc. There's 6, 7 people in the pipeline. Then I sort of called and I said, please, let's just, it's not worth it. I don't think much came out of it on my book. The man hadn't even read my book. Because he couldn't understand it, viewers. I'll be very honest.
Even I've been interviewed by Allahbadia.
Yeah.
Rahul, the point
and did he start by saying, yo, bro, how are you on the show? And I was a bit taken aback because, here was a substantive book with a lot of effort.
Gen Z.
And he couldn't understand it.
No, Rahul,
That's what was hurting me. I really went there thinking that he's very intelligent. Yeah, so please, go ahead. I don't know. He must be very intelligent because he really thought this through. It was premeditated. So he was very intelligent about his business model, which you should salute him. But I don't know about the content. Anyhow, I'm not here to judge. Yes, go ahead. Mr.
No. Whatever salutes he got will have stopped today. This was disgraceful and absolutely crap. And sometimes when you keep hearing free speech, I think we should add that free speech is so cheap, pun intended. That's why it's free. I mean, his apology made me more irritated, later on, where he says, no, I'm not like that. I'm not a comedian. I don't belong to that space. You're intelligent enough to have heard what was going on. There was another woman who spoke filth on the show along with Ranveer. You walk out if you have the grace in the class. You walk out. You just can't post an apology saying, oh, I don't belong there. I should not have done it. Rubbish. The most important point after I heard Gupta ji, Ranganathan ji and all the others is, see, today YouTube is a universal platform. It's not a country-centric platform. If we can't ask them to censor such content, and if we can't, and I don't see a reason to just black out the entire YouTube channel, because see, tomorrow if you say that people are driving fast and rash on the roads and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you're not going to ban driving. You're going to pick up the offenders. That's all you can do. So I would like India to come up with a rule where such people are banned from coming on social media for 10 years. And that will set an example to the others to stop this kind of crap, in the liberty and the guise of free speech. We will have to make it as simple as just punishing them so seriously. And Ranveer, I'm sorry, but you deserve whatever punishment is thrown on you. If you say that 1% in your life you slip, then one apple is enough to spoil everything.
Nikul Patel.
You deserve to be condemned.
I'll bring
for
in
what
Mr.
you
Pai.
said.
Mr. Pai, should there be criminal action? Mr. Sabir saying show no mercy. Should there be criminal action?
There should be.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Pai on that. Should there be criminal
we have
action?
to set an example.
Okay, wait.
Let's get
a view because
this other guy.
No, I have a certain view. Look, I have a certain view. If someone slanders somebody, I don't think we should have criminal action. You could have civil suits and all of that. But hang on, let's get another view.
No, but what is this? What language is this?
This is something very different. This is not slander. This is not
slandering.
This is not slandering. This is
utter,
a completely
exactly.
So
horrible.
Absolutely. Now, what punishment? Let's get a sense of what punishment. Mr. Sabir says don't allow them. No podcast list or ban social media, should have a list like a no-fly
You
list.
start with Ranveer. If he
Okay.
appears on social, if Ranveer
Right.
appears on social media for the next 5 years, he should be put behind bars. This will stop everybody else from coming up with this crap.
Okay,
We
let's
can't
see.
start
Let's see.
saying, let's
Okay,
just ban
let me
YouTubers.
get
It's
in
not gonna
Mr. Pai.
happen.
Let me, Mr. Pai, how do you respond to this? How do you respond? What do you think we should be done?
Honestly, I don't advocate any legal or criminal consequences. I like him to be apologized and stand up and to go and not to run any program for the next 1 or 2 months to show his remorse. But I certainly would like legal action against the platform, because the platform is a business. They should have better sense than any individual who comes on the platform and maybe makes a mistake in making such statements. But the
Mr. Pai, you're
platform
talking
has
of
to be
India's Got
shut
Talent or
down
YouTube?
because the platform did
Which
not
platform?
apologize so far as I know, and the platform allowed this
Let him
rubbish to
speak
go
then.
on, and the platform seemed to have been doing it all along. And the platform should have some code of conduct, some standards. If you want to be a good media house, I think platforms should be punished and criminal action taken against them for broadcasting. I wouldn't like this young man to be criminally prosecuted or otherwise dealt with under the law. But he must pay for it differently by not going on his program and keeping quiet for maybe the next 2-3 months.
Okay.
I'm sure citizens will also
So some
not
people have.
subscribe to him, will shut out, and
Yeah.
I'm sure
That's-
advertisers and
that's-
others will
that's the
think
best way.
twice before supporting him anytime in future.
Perhaps that's the best way. A social boycott,
Sir,
people
2
stop
months,
going.
3 months, sir.
Yeah, okay. I mean, hang on.
Sir,
I
2
understand.
months is no punishment.
But you
sir.
see, there is a problem, Mr.
2
Sabir.
months is no punishment.
Now there is a problem.
I'll
Listen
say
to
some
me.
obnoxious statements and I'll stay out for 2 months and come back.
Okay, no, fair enough.
2
But
months
listen to me, Mr.
we're not
Sabir, there
setting
is
an
one
example.
problem. And I want to bring in Nikul Patel. Now listen to his views, okay? So, Mr. Nikul Patel, the Congress party, all these political parties are chest beating. And I'll tell you why, viewers, they're doing it. Because you see, Ranveer got an award from the Prime Minister and from the government for being great and what have you. So this has become a political issue. So they say, jail him, put him in jail, put him in jail. Do you know, viewers, when the Sartan se Juda slogans rent the air, then the Congress doesn't come out and say, put these people in jail. Those are much worse, viewers. Hate speech. There's a journalist today who's preaching to everybody about hate speech. Oh, go after Ranveer, but, go after hate speech much more. That guy, viewers, that journalist, would he ever call for STJ slogans, people who chant those, Sartan se Juda slogans, to be jailed? I don't know, because I've never heard it. So he might, in the confines of his drawing room or her drawing room, I'm not going to give it away, viewers, here, but that person who's tweeted today giving us now a big lecture on how we should equate our outrage would never do it. Neither was the Congress, for example. So they're picking their moment. In fact, the Congress came out, and Mr. Patel, correct me if I'm wrong, in your manifesto you said we should never criminalize free speech. Don't criminalize it. You want to drop. But you are asking for criminal action against this gentleman. Why? This degenerate, actually. So you say don't criminalize free speech. In your manifesto, in fact, this is the greater liberal manifesto, Mr. Chidambaram said. And it's going to be a template for liberalism. Am I not right, Dr. Ranganathan? That's what they said. Don't criminalize free speech. And today, these same Johnnies are standing up and saying, put him in jail, lock him up, throw him to the hounds. I mean, come on. Nikul Patel, now you tell me what's going on.
Rahul, in your beginning only you told that there should be a line which one must not cross when there is a freedom of speech. And I think you must appreciate that part you yourself had said in the beginning.
I'm consistent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, millions of people create content on YouTube, and then whether it is right, wrong, the viewers has a discretionary to decide. Now, when something find which is not ethical or not with respect to the culture or the heritage we respect, then definitely there is a platform of complaint. And I think one must try to put that on it. And if it is found, it should be immediately withdrawn from the platform social media. Secondly, there are Information Act in which there is a provision for putting an FIR.
No, I understand that.
If something is not with respect to...
I'm asking you about this two-facedness. Don't criminalize.
I'm coming. Rahul, I already answered your question.
Okay.
I know that you want to always put Congress into...
I'm not putting any Congress anywhere. I'm only asking about Congress just happens. You just happen to be a representative of the opposition that says don't criminalize free speech. So I'm finding it a bit hilarious here.
That is my
Nobody does
responsibility
anything
is
to the
always to
Congress.
correct
They
you.
do it upon themselves.
And it is my responsibility to correct you always. That is
Okay,
why
please,
I'm here.
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I feel that if a person like him is doing something wrong, then definitely he can be socially boycotted. People should not visit his podcast. People should not like him. But ultimately, it's a matter of revenue. And apart from government,
kind of a punishment is
definitely
this?
government should look into the
Okay.
subject matter, as Rangnathan sir rightly said. That see everything. If I say that government is not working well,
Okay.
and then you can say that okay, Nikul Patel should be put behind the bars, then it is not correct.
Okay.
Even the award ceremony of that by Narendra Modi ji, Narendra Modi said Yog Nindra, then everybody was laughing. So that was a if you see that entire YouTube.
Anyhow,
and
I don't know which rabbit hole we are going down. The fact of the matter, viewers, is this, that the INB advisor to the INB ministry, Mr. Gupta, has come out and said we need a consensus. If you have to go and make people accountable for what they say, we need a consensus and we need a law framed by consensus. But there is no consensus in our society right now. Dr. Ranganathan, quickly, so I can move on then. Yes.
Very briefly, you see, everyone's talking of a line, especially my good friend, the filmmaker, Mr. Sabir. But the point is, who will decide? Who will draw the line? For example, does he stand with Salman Rushdie for writing satanic verses? Does he stand with Nupur for quoting the hadiths? Does he, for example, stand with 250 million Muslims in India who can partake in child marriages? Does he stand with all those things where others would draw a line, but he himself not? That is the problem. The moment you decide what is right, what is wrong, what is free, what is not, you enter into a gray area where you are God.
Yes. So fundamentally, viewers, we have an issue. Since you let this man into your homes, one second. Since you press the finger, no, 1 second. Since you decided to give this person your vote, we're talking about Allahbadia. Now you deal with the consequences and you unlike, you desubscribe or unsubscribe, you boycott, you do it. Will you do it?
That's not enough.
Now, well,
that's not enough.
I'm just saying as a start. Will you also write to those?
Again just left
One second. I need to move on, sir.
That's not enough.
Okay, fair enough. You said it 10 times. That's not enough. We'll throw this man in jail. There are cases against him. Let's see how that goes, okay? I bet you, viewers, he'll be let off by the courts. He'll be let off by the courts. I'll tell you this because there is a problem. Institutionally, there is a problem. So I don't want to go around this. But the point is, either we say that this guy has done something absolutely wrong and we don't ever want to subscribe to him again. Or we say, okay, he's now issued an apology. Next, Mr. Sabir will say, great, I remember his lovely podcast. 2 months down the line, there'll be another one. And you say, haan, isko main dekhunga, isko like karunga, I'll share it amongst my friends. And say, great intellectual stuff has come out from this gentleman. He's seen the ways that he messed up and now he's making amends. I don't know. I'm just not taking you as an example. I'm just saying generally. So the public will have to dole out the punishment and that'll be the one, viewers, because this man knew what he was doing and he did it for the likes. That is his aphrodisiac. Deprive him of that, you see him in line or you see him gone. I'll move on, viewers. That's what we need to be doing tonight. We need to be moving on because we have to focus on a very important story. WikiLeaks, viewers, has uncovered an alleged massive funding operation by USAID and Soros ecosystem to build a particular type of narrative in India. WikiLeaks says international media NGO Internews Network receives $474 million from USAID and Soros ecosystem. Internews Network works under the guise of journalistic development undertaken from a shell company based in the United States. Internews Network has an India link, which is an alleged media literacy program. This Indian arm has on its board some journalists, activists known only to promote a one-sided anti-India narrative. The history of Internews traces back to funding from Ford Foundation, George Soros and Umidia Network. All of them, viewers, are not fans of our country's rise. Internews Network pressures advertisers to direct funds only to approved news sources, disadvantaging other platforms. All of this, viewers, is available. Go see it on WikiLeaks. You'll read the story, you'll read the names of those who are getting the funds. Musk's aide and one-time US State Department official Mike Benz has also claimed that US aid and Soros network is involved in regime change. In fact, on India's doorstep, Mike Benz has come out and he has said, and let me quote him, and he said this to Tucker Carlson on his show, and I quote, "Let's say it is vital to US interest to build a military base in Bangladesh to counter China, but the Bangladeshi Prime Minister refuses. Our foreign policy planners then decide that regime change is necessary. All options to destabilize the country were taken," unquote. And he goes into an extensive detail on how it was done by viewers first trying to pick at the seams in society, build constituencies amongst minorities, arm them with money, with all sorts of disinformation, rile them up, and then get them going. That's how it was done. Alarmed by these exposés and convinced that the Bangladesh toolkit has already been deployed in India, BJP MP Nishikant Dubey raised the issue in Parliament seeking a probe. Listen in, viewers. Okay, regime change echoed in Sansad with the BJP MP Nishikant Dubey saying, and I quote, "Need for centre to probe organizations funded by US aid in India. Most such outfits have worked to create unrest in the country and had links with the Congress party," unquote. Late last month, the Prime Minister himself hinted that he was aware of the foreign hand that is working behind the scenes to destabilize India. Sample this from the Prime Minister, viewers. He said, "Perhaps this is the first session of Parliament since 2014 when there has been no effort from overseas to spark a fire a day or two before its inauguration," unquote. So even he's on it. I want to open this up. Sanju Verma, why do you believe that WikiLeaks has thrown up stuff that we need to really worry about? What is this network that the BJP wants investigated that it links to the Congress party? Explain.
You know, Rahul, first and foremost, let's get this very clear. Forget about former US State Department head honcho Mike Benz on Tucker Carlson's show, clearly calling out the bluff of US aid. Forget also for the time being what Nishikant Dubey said. You know, let's be very clear about one thing, that for the longest time, you know, be it Pegasus, be it Rafale, be it tarnishing India's image at the height of the COVID second wave, or for that matter, even the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha, or for that matter, more importantly, the abrogation of Article 370. There have been a couple of organizations which have time and again taken an anti-India stance, so much so that instead of calling POK, they talk about Indian occupied Kashmir. And at the forefront of this anti-India narrative has been an outfit called OCCRP. OCCRP has been funded for the longest time. It's out in the public domain. A basic Google search will tell you that OCCRP is funded by Open Society Foundation. OCCRP is funded by Rockefeller Foundation. OCCRP is funded by the Omidyar Network. OCCRP is funded by Ford Foundation. And OCCRP has been taking an anti-India stance, and Rahul Gandhi basically on the floor of Parliament has been working as a brand ambassador of OCCRP. OCCRP ne bola that Pegasus has been used to spy on opposition. Rahul Gandhi peddles that line in Parliament. OCCRP says that, you know, more than 40 million people, that is 4 crore people died during COVID. And Rahul Gandhi comes and spews that gibberish in Parliament. But the most important point, very quickly, without being verbose, there is an entity called Global Knowledge Initiative, GKI, which is founded by Sam Pitroda along with 2 other people, Nina Fedorov and Sarah Farley. Nina Fedorov and Sarah Farley have been associated with Rockefeller Trust for the longest time. And GKI, Sam Pitroda's NGO, so-called NGO, is funded by US aid. Don't forget that US aid also runs a literacy program called Factshala. And Factshala runs a Factshala ambassador program, which has on its payrolls the likes of Ritu Kapoor of Quint, the likes of Shekhar Gupta of Print, and the likes of Faith D'Souza of Beetroot News. And all these people, you don't need to have an IQ of more than 50 to realize, have been peddling not only an anti-Modi stance on various occasions, but sometimes bordering on an anti-India stance. Then you have something called the Sambhavna Institute of Public Policy and the Kumud Bhushan Education Trust. Sambhavna Institute of Public Policy and Kumud Bhushan Education Trust are run by Prashant Bhushan, the man who has seen nothing going right with India since 2014, since Modi became the Prime Minister. And don't forget, that USAID has funded Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, USAID has funded Rajiv Gandhi Trust, USAID has also funded Vijay Mahajan, the CEO of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, and last but not the least, something which not many people are talking of. Today, Gaurav Gogoi is the deputy leader of opposition. And guess what? Gaurav Gogoi's wife, Elizabeth Cole Byrne, has previously worked with the ISI in Islamabad. Her supervisor was a man called Ali Taqir Sheikh, an advisor to Pakistan's Planning Commission.
Okay, of course, he's not here to answer this. It would be only fair if he were here to answer this. Maybe you can tweet this to him, but I can't. Yes, well, I can't take that on board. As you understand, Ms. Sanju Verma, please, there are certain important red lines that I can't sort of cross. So I'll put that out. Hopefully that is something that you can tweet to him and you can get clarifications, but I cannot underscore that at all. But I want to just bring in Sushant Sareen here. Sushant Sareen, look, it may not be illegal, right? It may not be illegal. USAID can fund whoever they want to. They can create an ecosystem and a narrative and this, that, the other. But what I actually balk at is then these individuals, some of whom, Sanju Verma has sort of named, these individuals give lessons on independent journalism and being completely, money is leverage. That's what everyone says, isn't it? Oh, you're getting ads from Modi, so that means you must have bent. You get ads from AAP, so you must be crawling. And you know how it goes. So, I mean, all this sort of stuff that comes out from these very familiar quarters, is it all sort of somehow tinctured with certain prejudices, maybe leveraged by somebody who doesn't quite want this country to do fantastically well? That's why the Prime Minister says foreign hand constantly.
So Rahul, one, I think the old adage coming from America, follow the money, I think that's critical in all of this. And clearly, Rahul, you're not that naive that if somebody was taking the money, he would not be pontificating and sermonizing the way some of these people you've named do. So, if they were going to actually come out with the truth, then clearly, what's the point of giving them the money? So that's not going to happen. But look, I have a feeling that perhaps this was, at its heart, it was not an anti-India operation. It was a regime change operation. Because we see a lot of this happening from around 2014 onwards. Suddenly, the entire media narrative in the Western media is one-sided.
Yeah.
That Modi is a fascist, Modi is Hitler, Modi is Mussolini, Modi is this, Modi is that, there's religious persecution in India. Nobody can name a single Indian Muslim who has left India out of religious persecution. In fact, you have Bangladeshis streaming into India because they find greater opportunity out here than they find in their own country. Okay. So there are people who have also sought refuge in India rather than running away from India. There might have been some economic migrants who've gone out of India, but nobody has gone because there was political or religious persecution in India. And yet the international narrative was one-sided. And one often wondered why this was happening. And very clearly, it was targeted not so much against India as such, India in the sense that perhaps, some of these people wanted India to be this nice, cute kind of a country which follows their orders, takes directions from them, follows everything they do, is obsequious
I like
to
the
them.
fact that you're drawing that distinction. That's an important distinction. Yeah, that's an important, that regime change. You want a pliable puppet.
Yeah. Because, if you look at it from the governmental level,
yes,
whether it was the United States or whether it was many of the other European countries which have been involved in these kind of operations, they had very good relations government to government.
Yeah.
But at a political level, they were trying to orchestrate, interfere, meddle in they meddled in the elections.
I mean, you can be someone's good friend. You could be on the face of it someone's friend, but not want their best interest. I mean, that that happens. So, but that means that you're subverting a mandate. Actually, that actually is right. Yeah. So, Dr. Sumansi Raman, subversion of a mandate. Yeah.
One more point. Yeah. The other thing which you have to look at is the kind of agitations which took place.
Yes.
A nuclear plant is being built. It is required. A copper smelter has to be built. It is required.
Yeah.
It is required to give our industry an edge. It is
so let me bring him in. I get the point.
An edge, and there are these protests that take place.
Absolutely. So regime change has been sort of now, there is a definite, I mean, you've had Mike Benz come out, Dr. Raman, and talk about regime change. So I mean, it's all probable that it's happening here too. The Prime Minister, you shouldn't sort of be alarmist and say, oh, he's being, loose with the facts. He's only quoting what is very probable.
Okay, Rahul, since this is a 4-against-1 debate, I trust that you will give me a little bit of time, at least a fraction of the time that the other panelists have got. Now, the first part, which I don't think most people on this debate seem to have understood, is that the USAID is part of the executive branch of the United States government. So if you are, it may be an independent body, quote unquote, but it comes under the executive branch, except that the president has limited powers over the USAID. He cannot fire its chief just like that and so on. The bottom line is very clear. When we say USAID gave money which was used for destabilizing India or Bangladesh or any other country, effectively, we are basically saying the US government gave money to people or organizations to destabilize India. Why don't we have the guts to own up and then say that? Instead of saying USAID has become...
No, who doesn't have the guts? I am saying it's one and the same thing as far as I'm concerned. So I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. But no, hang on. Just a minute. All this news, viewers, there's a very important caveat. No, 1 second.
Yes.
It's not Rahul Shivshankar who's making these claims. It is the DOGE department. It's Musk. No, 1 second.
You want to believe
1 second,
everything
doctor.
that Donald Trump says.
Doctor, I am not believing. Donald Trump has to convince his own people that USAID. Dr. Raman, please. Dr. Raman, if Mr. Modi tomorrow decides to, shut down an important vertical. One second. How can? Hang on, just a minute. And it turns out that he was using that important instrument to destabilize Trump. You can't fault Trump, no. I mean, one second. Logic is not squaring.
No, my logic is perfect. Out of the $2.7 billion that USA
I'm only asking you, Dr. Raman, all these people who receive money, would there be no leverage? Would there be no leverage on them? If you're getting funded by X and Y, there's no leverage?
Of course there is leverage, but it goes back to the US government. It goes back to the... and let me finish. So, look, they have spoken for 20 minutes. I have spoken for less than 2 minutes.
Go ahead, sir.
Let me finish one point. Out of the $2.7 billion that have been donated, that have been spent by USAID in India, 70% has gone in combating tuberculosis.
Sir, look, thank you for telling us that. Tell Trump this. Tell Trump that he's shutting down such an important wing of his government. And don't tell me, I'm not shutting it down. Don't tell Modi, he's not shutting it down. I've run out of time, unfortunately, with the filibustering that has gone on here. Dr. Ranganathan, I'm really sorry. This story's origin is America. It's not India. Modi hasn't shut down USAID in India. He hasn't kicked out USAID. It's Trump doing it. Trump is shutting down an American wing. That's it. Because he doesn't think it's contributing effectively to the global good. He thinks it's an arm to destabilize, and he's taking that in the enlightened interest of world peace. Great. We benefit, viewers. We should be thankful for Trump. We leave it at this.
Presented by...
One of the highlights of the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore is the participation of a 5th generation aircraft from both Russia and America. In fact, I'm showing you the visuals of Su-57E, that is the 5th generation fighter aircraft from Russia. There you have visuals. It is for the first time that the aircraft has come to India. And we have seen the pitch where Russia has in fact proposed a deal to purchase the aircraft from Russia, where they have in fact said that they are going to help India in jointly produce the aircrafts here in India. I'm showing you these visuals where this is for the very first time when this war-tested 5th generation aircraft has come to India. In fact, there was a lot of buzz whether or not India is considering these aircrafts for Indian Air Force. And yesterday we saw that how the defense officials in fact clarified that they can go for the options available in future, given the fact that they are also looking to bridge the gap that we have because of the delayed deliveries of Tejas. In fact, these are the visuals. Once again, if I can show you the visuals. In fact, Pramod Saklani is giving you these shots where you are seeing the 5th generation fighter aircraft from Russia that has got the maximum takeoff weight of 34,000 kgs. Maximum speed is 2 Mach, and in fact the service ceiling of 18,800 meter. We have 12 hard points in this particular aircraft. This has got stealth capability, super maneuverability, and in fact a lot of advanced features. At this point in time, this is one of the most advanced aircraft in the entire world, and in fact when we talk about the different scenarios, so this aircraft has been tested in the war that is ongoing. This is for the very first time when Su-57E has come here in India, and these are the visuals from the 15th edition of Aero India that has been organized here in Bangalore. The maximum part of excitement here in Aero India 2025 is for 5th generation aircraft. We have Su-57E from Russia and F-35 from US, and as of now I'm showing you visuals of these American aircraft, F-16 and F-35 as well. You are seeing in these visuals that how these aircrafts have been standing here. In fact, initially there was a buzz that US Air Force is not participating, but now they have come with not these F-16, F-35 aircraft only, but have also got their bomber and refueler as well. This aircraft, this 5th generation aircraft, when we talk about it, so we know that how this is. It's a second arrival here in India. It has participated in a number of conflicts now. In fact, it was first used in Israel, and then recently we have seen that how US has used it against Houthis, and now they have come here with this particular aircraft. This is also one contender as far as 5th generation aircraft for India are concerned, and we know that how defense officials have in fact indicated that options are open for Indian officials and Indian forces as well, because as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so we know that how delivery of Tejas in fact is delayed, and as of now India needs a 5th generation aircraft. F-35 is a single seat, single engine, supersonic stealth fighter that can be used for multiple roles. It has been designed for both air superiority and strike missions, and in fact it can be used for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities. F-35 is one of the advanced 5th generation aircraft in the world today. It can be used for vertical takeoffs. In fact, there are 3 different categories for F-35. In the F-35B category can be used, in fact the aircraft can be used for vertical takeoffs. It is the Navy version of the aircraft, and these aircrafts in fact are participating here in Aero India in 2025, one of the contenders for the 5th gen aircraft for India. This F-35 has participated this time around in Aero India 2025. The biggest defense and aviation expo, Aero India 2025, has begun here in Bangalore. The event is big with more than 900 exhibitors taking part. We have representation from more than 80 countries. Close to 40 defense ministers from all across the world are taking part, and we have
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post, and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Vantage. We are coming to you from Paris, and behind me is the Grand Palais, an iconic building in the city full of iconic buildings. Yesterday we came here to interview the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. The place was bustling with activity then, all in preparation for today. This is where the Global Artificial Intelligence Summit is happening. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is co-chairing it. We are bracing for 2 days of AI action. Discussions, policy chats, exhibitions, installations, you name it, you'll see it here. The end goal is to shape the future of artificial intelligence, how to regulate it, how to invest in it, and how to use it. Of course, This summit is happening in the middle of deep-seek mania, so AI geopolitics is also a big issue. We'll be here in Paris tracking all these developments. We'll also be focusing on India-France ties because Prime Minister Modi has a busy schedule here. Right after the summit, he and President Macron are set to announce some big moves. So make sure you tune in throughout the week. We've got a packed show lined up for you tonight. But first, the headlines.
Iran's president accuses Donald Trump of trying to bring the country to its knees. The remarks came as Iran marked the anniversary of the 1979 revolution, which removed a pro-US government in Tehran. Masoud Pezeshkian also said that while Iran is not looking for war, it'll never bow to foreigners. Bangladesh's police cracks down on former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's loyalists, arrests more than 1,300 people in an operation named the Devil Hunt, as unrest continues in the South Asian country. Last week, protesters demolished Sheikh Hasina's family home. Last August, protests forced the former Bangladeshi Prime Minister to resign and flee to India. The United Nations accuses Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces of blocking aid to the war-torn country. Thousands of families have fled from a village in the North Darfur state after an attack which has been blamed on the paramilitary. The RSF has been at war with the Sudanese army since April 2023. Romania's president resigns following pressure to step down ahead of its election rerun. The country's top court had cancelled the presidential elections, which were scheduled in December, over allegations of Russian interference. And nearly all nations missed a UN deadline to submit new targets for slashing carbon emissions. Just 10 of nearly 200 countries required under the Paris Agreement to deliver fresh climate plans by February did so on time.
We are at the biggest gathering of leaders to discuss artificial intelligence. And we are bringing you the biggest interview from here, with the AI Summit host and French President Emmanuel Macron himself. It's an interview that I co-hosted with Laurent Delahousse of France TV. We asked President Macron what he thinks of AI, what it means for the world, for democracy, and how it should be regulated. We also talked about France's relationship with India and whether Paris will ban China's DeepSeek. Here are some excerpts from our conversation. Namaste, Mr. President. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
Kya baat hai. Thank you very much. I wanted to know what can we expect in terms of announcements on your partnership with India. And as India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
I think that with Prime Minister Modi, we firmly believe that India and France are two great powers. And we have a special relationship. We respect and want to work with the US. We want to work with China, but we want to depend on no one. And we have a bilateral partnership on that basis. In defense. With our navies, our fighter planes, technology, major engineering training programs. India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year. So more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. 3, we have a partnership on the environment and the economy. With Mr. Modi, we launched the International Solar Alliance to develop solar energy in our countries and in the world. We also have civilian nuclear programs. So it's a very deep-seated conviction that we want to be independent. That doesn't mean we want to be isolated, but we want to have technologies and partners that we can trust without dependencies.
Mr. President, the thing is that a lot of technology is being thrown into the market, and governments are very keen to be on board. As you said, we want to be part of the race. But who is creating guardrails? Who is making sure that this is not causing harm? Because there is real harm being caused.
I think that there should be global regulation. I think we shouldn't regulate things only locally because the innovation is global. We need partnerships between private and public stakeholders, and that the right behaviors are encouraged. So I think that people should say when something has been created by AI. That's why I think that gradually we need to make sure that public and private players recontextualize all of this, and that they say very clearly, this is AI and this is not. If you're able to use it and say that you did, that's a good thing, and you should protect intellectual property. But they need to be clear that they did.
Are you putting the onus of that censorship or regulation on the people, just like you did with social media, that they need to do this?
I think that it needs to be governments around the world who do it voluntarily. But you know, tomorrow, who will be here? There will be political powers, but there'll also be tech players, and they've become states in their own right, in a way. Why was it so hard for social media to regulate social media? What would these people say? They would say, no, we don't want to regulate. And look what's happening in the US. You're right, and that's a challenge. What's the challenge for Europe? We all agree with what you're saying, but if you regulate before you innovate, then there's no innovation. You can say we have great regulation in Europe, but we don't have innovation. But sometimes a ban is not the answer. Yes, if we do that, we won't innovate, and that's the problem. So don't ban, but do regulate.
Social media today is safer because they have removed fact checkers. So with all of that you've done.
Now you're talking about something a little different. One, we manage what we call the golden hour, which means that within 1 hour we can remove terrorist content. In Europe, we have a regulation, we have done it, we have implemented it, and it's going to change, right? Yes, in Europe, platforms have a responsibility when they disseminate hate, anti-Semitism or racism. But the US is not doing it. The Chinese are not doing it. India is still thinking about it. So actually, we're at the cutting edge in Europe. And we are trying to push for moderation. But you are right, that platforms said, we don't want to moderate. That's politics. We're all about free speech. Well, they're wrong. Why are they wrong? Because behind social media and in AI too, there are algorithms, and these algorithms help you do incredible things, but they always have biases, and so they need to be transparent so that you can verify them. And they need to be transparent for all. All that to say that there's a huge challenge, a huge regulatory challenge.
I wanted to ask you, are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
Well, I don't think that it makes sense to ban a technology because of where it comes from. That's not our approach. But for all the technology all around the world, where it doesn't come from Europe, we look into it carefully if our sovereignty is at stake. We've done it in the past for technology. So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from, but we will think about whether we can accept non-European technology for critical sectors. Here's an example, telecoms.
It's a yes or no question. I mean,
Pardon?
It's a yes or no question.
Well, no, we're not going to ban them today. So, yes or no, 60 seconds, it's going to be very short. Let's go. I'll ask the first question. Is AI already a threat for our democracy?
Oui ou non?
Oui.
Yes.
Which country is France's most important partner in Asia?
Je dirais l'Inde.
India.
Est-ce que vous gérez personnellement?
Do you manage your own social media accounts?
Je regarde.
I look, I might look, but I don't manage.
What is your favorite way to address people? Tweets, TikToks, or the good old press conference?
Ça dépend desquels.
Well, it depends.
Comme ça.
This is the best. Is Elon Musk's X a tool for propaganda or information? It's social media. It's neither one nor the other. But it's not for information.
One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Friendship. One word to define your relationship with Donald Trump. Respect.
France, AI dominating the world, or France winning the next World Cup? What do you want?
Les deux.
Les deux. Both.
Est-ce que vous utilisez encore, Monsieur le Président,
and do you still use the Strava app for running? I never used it. It was people running around you? I think people were using it for their own running, but don't worry, my security is fine. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Palki, for being with us. It was such a pleasure and an honor to be with you this evening.
Fantastic. The pleasure is all mine.
Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous.
Thank you.
So those are President Macron's priorities, his vision for artificial intelligence, but can he sell it to other world leaders and businessmen? That is the question that everyone is asking, and we'll have an answer by tomorrow, hopefully. That's when this global AI summit will wrap up. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on today's agenda. This is the third global summit on artificial intelligence. The first two were hosted by Britain and South Korea. This one has two co-chairs, France and India. The focus is on regulation, geopolitics, and practical applications. We visited the summit venue earlier today. Just like the whole city, it's got a different buzz about it. Less of history, more of future now. Take a look.
Welcome to Paris. Welcome to the Grand Palais. Welcome to the AI Action Summit.
And it's underway. The third global summit on artificial intelligence, this time in Paris. Dozens of world leaders and CEOs are gathering here. They have come from more than 100 countries. And their goal? To shape the future of AI. From India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is here. He is co-chairing the summit with French President Macron. From the US, Donald Trump is not making the trip, but his Vice President J.D. Vance has already reached Paris. And from China, Xi Jinping has dispatched his Vice Premier. So attendance is quite impressive. This is where the AI Summit is being held, at the 125-year-old Grand Palais. When it was built back in 1900, it was dedicated to what they call the glory of French arts. The idea was to showcase France's leadership in the realm of fine arts. Now, more than a century later, France is hoping to show leadership in a different realm, that of artificial intelligence. President Macron is hoping to pitch a third way forward in AI, one that is different from Chinese and American models. Now, looking at the guest list, one thing is clear. Macron has managed to bring the people who matter to the same table. The question is, can he get them on the same page as well? A big tech delegation is also here. Leading it is Google Sundar Pichai and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. The rapid growth of AI has largely been driven by these private firms. So if you want to shape AI, you need tech bosses. Today is day one of the summit. It focuses on conferences and roundtables, mostly the civil society part of the event. Then tomorrow is the big day, the summit of the heads of state and government. That's when leaders will get down to the key details. These summits are a reflection of how our approach to AI has changed over the years. The first one was in Britain, where the mood was dull and the tone was alarmist. It was all about setting up guardrails and checking the expansion of AI without regulation. And almost all countries present there signed that joint deal. The second summit was in South Korea, where we saw some divisions. The US and its allies signed a joint deal. India and China were not part of it. And in this third summit in Paris, the divisions are starker and deeper, and the shadow of ChatGPT versus DeepSeek and America versus China looms large over the meeting. Expect the geopolitics of AI to dominate talks. Until now, it's been a race between China and America. But President Macron wants to join it. He wants to offer an alternative to those two models. Beyond that, there are two areas of focus. The first is on sustainable AI. You need swarms of